how white label works, what's actually involved, how it works for you, how you can generate some extra income, and how you can basically build your network, which is always really nice. The other thing, hey Nikki, the other thing that we're going to cover is we're going to talk a little bit about the sales process, how you can help your clients, your colleagues, your counterparts to be able to build their portfolio, how to be able to essentially generate some more money, get into property. So as you guys know, property is the future for investment. It's the best investment class. And yeah, it's not going to be plain sailing. Yes, there's going to be bugs and issues and things as you go through the process. But the reality is your overall returns on property is always going to far outstretch any other investment unless you're just really lucky. Which does happen from time to time, but I'd much rather be betting on a sure bet to generate wealth rather than trying to generate wealth through luck. Otherwise, you might as well be spending your life in a casino. And I'm not saying that some of you don't do that, because there may or may not be some of you that do. But yeah, so my suggestion is let's focus on getting rich for sure, as opposed to maybe getting rich by gambling. So to talk you through a little bit in terms of what white label is, for those of you that are not white label partners. So essentially what white label is the ability for us to help you to help your friends invest in property. Obviously, if you want to invest yourself, obviously you're more than welcome to, and we're more than happy to assist you in building your portfolio. But if you know people that are interested in building a property portfolio, you should be a white label partner. That's the nuts and bolts of it, very simply. Now, what a white label partner is essentially you are a property agent, for want of a better term. You're not like an estate agent. You're more like a friend that helps someone buy the right investment property. And what you'll do is you'll just have access to a whole bunch of properties on a website that is yours, your branding, your logo, your color scheme, where you can show your friends, the people that you know, those properties, and have a conversation. Say, look, we got these properties. Are you interested in any of these? And if they say yeah, you go, okay, great. Well, let me help you with the purchase process. Let me help you through the buying and help you build your portfolio. And that's kind of the nuts and bolts in terms of how it works. So let me give you guys a little bit of a demo if I can, just so you can see what it is. And then you'll get a bit more of a better understanding. So bear with me 2 seconds. Hopefully it's going to allow me to share screen. Okay, perfect. Cool. So hopefully you can then see the screen, which is awesome. So this is essentially the listing site. So this is TrustBricks. This is our own internal white label platform. Okay, and what you can see on here is a whole bunch of different properties. Now, all of these investment properties are investment properties, and they're all off market. So you're not going to find them on Rightmove. You're not going to find them on Zoopla, and we are dealing directly with sellers generally. Okay, so if somebody goes, well, I'm interested in getting involved in property, what do you suggest? And my suggestion is always the same. You want to get something that has a high yield, so will make you good rental income, and is low risk. If you're starting out, the lowest risk you can buy is a buy-to-let, and the highest yield you can buy is a lower value buy-to-let. Now, you just got to make sure that you can get a mortgage on it and other bits. And obviously, our team is more than happy to assist and answer any questions on that. But if I give you a bit of an example, so if we look, we can filter here by highest yield. Okay, and then we go strategy buy-to-let. Okay, so now we've got our highest yielding buy-to-let. So you look here, buy-to-let here for a 13% yield, buy-to-let 12%, 12%. Modular homes, if that's what you want to get into, 11% yield for an apartment block, which is bloody fantastic. We need to look at that. So the whole block. Okay. But yeah, so here's a basic buy-to-let, right? So low value, low buy-in, buying for 62,500, rental income of 550. Okay, and your 550 over 12 months, okay, is 550 times by 12 is equals to £6,600. And if you're buying it for 62,500, your yield is like 10.8% or whatever it is. So I can actually give you exact figures. Yeah, it's 10.56, so 10.6%. So in terms of a yield, it's really good. So how that actually looks from a numbers perspective, right? If somebody then buys this, they go, oh, well, I can get a mortgage interest rate of, 4.5% or 5.5% or whatever the figure is. They put this in here. They go, well, I'm going to try and agree this at 60,000. I can get 75%, whatever that figure is. What this will then do is this calculates out, you've got your rent of £550 a month, you've got your mortgage, and then you're left with your income of £381. What comes out of that is management if you use a lettings agent, and maintenance and operating expenses, insurance and stuff. But overall, you should still be banking somewhere around £250 to £300 a month, give or take. Okay. And that's a really good income considering the amount of money you've got to invest is less than 20,000. So if you do the maths on that and you go, well, so if you're making 250 a month, times that by 12 months, so you make £3,000 a year. Okay, that's net after costs. You divide that by your purchase price of, your total investment of around 20,000, basically means you're making somewhere around a 15% return. Okay, which honestly, 15% in terms of return is better than you're going to be getting anywhere else, as the first thing. And secondly, as the value of the property goes up, which on average will go up by 5% a year, the amount of money you're going to make is much higher. So this is the whole premise in terms of investment, why property is great and everything. Now, in terms of explaining what white label is, okay, obviously, so you've got the site here, you've got the information, you've got all the listings, but how it works with you as a white label is, if I just show you one of our white label sites. Okay, this is one of our white label partners, GetGround. So some of you guys might know GetGround. They're a huge company. You also got the Landlord Show, so Property Notify. You've also got Property Investor Show. So we've got some really big, prestigious white label partners, and we kind of are their property partner. And essentially, what you'll notice is this is GetGround. It is their domain, their color, their everything. So as far as their clients know, this is a GetGround portfolio. This is GetGround Properties. Right, and if you look, like something like this, you've got all the nice listings, all the nice imagery and everything. So as far as their clients know, GetGround are selling this property. So anything that gets done, we split commissions and fees with GetGround, and that's our way of saying thanks for bringing the clients to us. And that's essentially all that white label is a domain, a website, your color scheme, everything like that. And all you're doing is helping your friends and people invest in property. The more they invest, you get paid as our way of saying thanks. We'll reward you for that as our way of saying thanks. They get a portfolio, they get to build their financial future. And of course, we get to sell a property and make a fee as well. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a win-win-win. That's ultimately what white label property is. So one of the things what we noticed though, is as part of this process, where we were having difficulty is many people were struggling with getting good solicitors, getting good mortgage brokers, getting good builders, getting properties correctly managed. Because as I'm sure you'll appreciate, lettings agents aren't all built the same. Solicitors are certainly not all built the same. Mortgage brokers certainly not all built the same. So we've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of testing to be able to refine down into working with the best solicitors, the best brokers. We've launched our own brokerage in partnership. We've got a very specific group of solicitors we now work with. We run our own refurbishment company. We have 40 build teams across the UK now, which is hugely impressive in reality in comparison to where we were just 12 months ago. We run our own property maintenance. We've got 80 vans on the road doing property maintenance to keep the cost down for our landlords. And on top of that, we run our own lettings, which we launched last April. And we've now got over 150 properties under management, over 400 units, which is going very well. It has not been the smoothest of journeys because building no business is, but I will say, it's working very effectively, and the feedback we're getting from all the clients is, team's really good, they're really receptive, they're really helping, and if there's any issues, it's dealt with very quickly, which for me is, all you can ever ask, because nobody will be perfect, but so long as they deal with the issues and they get things done, it's always a win. So that's the nuts and bolts in terms of white label and how it structures. And essentially what ends up happening is if any of your contacts, anyone ends up buying a property, as far as they're concerned, they're buying it from you. All of our team, so you've got Joe and Jamie, who's on our team, who'd be speaking to as a white label partner, they will liaise with the clients on your behalf with you in the group. So you have full visibility of all conversation. And as far as those people know, our team work directly for you. So we are the silent partner. We're the one that nobody knows about. So we are they don't know who TrustBricks is. They don't know who White Label is. They don't know any of our brands. All they know is your brand because you're the trusted person they've gone via. And our entire team operates on that basis, which works. It works very effectively. The only part that doesn't is the lettings, but that's because lettings moves into a very long-term play. And honestly, keeping that up for 10 years is a very difficult thing. So what we do is we just call that a handover. And of course, there's referral fees and stuff that come from that as part of the whole gig, to make sure everyone is rewarded with a nice big thanks for doing business with us. So that's the nuts and bolts in terms of White Label. Is there any questions on that before I move into going through building conversations, building relationships, sales, and additional products actually that we're looking to do? Is there any questions? If there is, do me a favor, just drop it into the chat, and I will make sure I endeavor to answer any questions you may have. Would you guys be able to record? Yes, so it is being recorded, Matt. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you spotted that, which is awesome. And yes, you guys can all hear me. So no other questions, which is fine. Makes life easy. Means I've explained this very, very well. And I know there's quite a few White Labels on the call, which is awesome. So great to have you guys on. Thanks for joining. So there's a couple of bits that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, which I think is very much worth noting. So we're going to be adding some additional products, very, very inexpensive. Okay, but essentially all we're doing is we're just utilizing our team and we're just making sure that they're paid for the work. And there's a few things that we're going to be doing. So unfortunately, you can't see the board behind me, but I'll go through the list. So the first one is a logo. So creating a logo for you. Many White Labels, when they first join, they don't have businesses or they don't have logos, or they don't even have an idea on what logo to do. So our team can essentially sit and have a conversation, and it's basically like a 20-minute consultation, talking through what you want and where you're at, and then build out a logo for you. Okay, that's the first thing. So a logo that is in keeping with your persona, your personality, your desires, what you want your business to look and feel like. Second thing is what we call a branding guide. So this is getting the color schemes right, the depth of the colors, making sure there's no color clashes, and then essentially creating what's called a branding guide, where you have those colors, you've got the hex codes for those colors. So anytime you go anywhere, you want to try and get something printed, something designed, new business cards, banners, whatever it is, you make sure they're in keeping with your branding guide. So that's the second thing. Again, many White Labels don't have a branding guide. They just go, well, I'd love my site to be blue and green. And you're like, there's many shades of blue and there's many shades of green. So which blue and which green would you love? Okay, so for me, the biggest thing is making sure you have the right blue and the right green to make it work, because the wrong blue and the wrong green will look very garish. Okay, so we can set up a color guide. Custom site. So this is one that comes up, and this is a conversation that happens a lot with SEO. So you've got two different types of site, or types of White Label. And I think this is very much worth a conversation worth noting. So if I give you a bit of an example of both. So first and foremost, so we take a look at TrustBricks. So this is our own site. Okay. Let me see if it's going to take me to where I need. Okay. So this is a typical White Label site. I think we got one Joule. I think it was. Oh, I can't remember that. It's a new site. We launched a couple of days ago, but my mouse is having a hard time. Oh, I don't know if my computer's crashing. Oh, there we go. Wow, that was weird. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Seems to be waking up. So this is what we call your generic page. So if you sign up as a full White Label site, you'll get a page like this, but it'll be your colors, your logo, your domain. But you'll get a page like this. It's got a lovely explainer video. It is my voice, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. But it goes through the structure of how the site works, and anybody who goes on the site gets a really good idea in terms of how you work and how you help. Okay. If, however, you want to have your own White Label where you have your own set website, then you can do something like this. So this is what we call a subdomain, or a page on a site. So you see here, Siteline. So those of you that know Jamie, this is him and his mum's. And they do very well, and they focus much more on development and the larger stuff. But they said, actually, you know what, the smaller bits, the standard buy-to-lets, HMOs and stuff would be fantastic as well. So they have their own existing site, and then off the back of this, then they go through to this page. Now you can actually skip this page. You don't need to do it. They wanted this page because they wanted the explainer video, and it made sense for them. And you see how it all sort of ties in. And then you go into the properties. Okay, we're in the midst of releasing the latest change, so you'll notice this looks slightly different to ours, but the latest version will be out within the next few days. So this is essentially what we call a subdomain or a page on a site. So one of the things that we've agreed to do is actually, for a lot of people, a lot of white labels don't really have the ability or the means, or they don't have the network of somebody who can help build a website for them. And the reality is there's a lot of people out there who can promise to build websites that just are not very good. They're not high converting. They're not engaging. They don't have good sort of content in terms of how the content is, in terms of search engine optimization. So there's a lot of stuff that people miss out on whenever they get websites built. So what we've done is we've taken our team who've built all of our sites. So obviously they built the white label site, they built the My Property Group site, the white label property site. So we've got a whole bunch of sites that they've built, and they're fantastic sites. And the search engine optimization, the SEO, is excellent on those sites. So we get a lot of new people. So we're getting about 10 brand new leads a week who are going, yes, I'm interested. Let's engage. Let's have a conversation. So the sites are operating very well. So what we've agreed is for any white label, if you want a new site built, where we can set up the SEO, so your search engine optimization, we can do that. Okay. And Kerry's agreed to do it. I don't have a price yet. I literally spoke to her about it today, and I just said, look, would you be happy to do this? She went, yeah. I said, okay, you need to let me know how much it is, because that's what we're going to charge. And she went, okay, that's absolutely fine. And Kerry is fantastic. So she does a lot of our stuff. I think she's just gone to Asia. I think she's in Thailand for a little while, and then she's off to somewhere else after that as well. So she's probably going to be out of the UK for 6 months, but she works remotely, and she has worked remotely for us for years. So she's excellent. I highly recommend a site through her if you're looking to get a site done externally, and she's not offensively expensive. There's many people that want to charge you like $5,000 for a website. I'm going, well, it makes no sense. She is way, way, way less than that. So we'll get confirmation in terms of pricing and stuff. But if that's something you're interested in, so you can get your own SEO underway, get more leads coming through, create more of a known brand within the industry, just let me know and we can pick that up once it's up and running and live. Some of the other things we can do is a marketing setup. So this is something that we've been talking about for a long time. So for anybody who joins the TrustBrick site, you'll notice you get an array of emails. Slowly but surely over the course of several weeks, you'll get an email, hey, just wanted to reach out. And so you've got what we call automated email chains. Likewise, if you join on the white label property group, or when you sign up as a white label partner, or there's many different stages that then create or kick off an automated email chain. So what we said is, well, it'd be great if we can help people set up their CRM, which isn't expensive. It's like 40 quid a month. Okay, so we set up your CRM, and then on top of that, we'll embed or add all of our automated emails that your clients would want. So whenever they register you to your site and sign up, they then get a series of emails. That's great for engaging and maintaining that relationship. So that's something else that we've done, which I think that will be hugely helpful, because there's many white labels that have no follow-up. Somebody will engage, they'll send them a message, go, hey, let's chat. And if they don't get a response, then, nothing happens. They forget to catch up, they forget to chase, forget to engage in conversation. So for me, it's important to maintain those relationships and have, even web conversations by way of email, to just keep presence of mind and keep that relationship and sort of brand building and growing. So that was the next one. Also, training platform. I have to ask, would it be useful if we put together a training platform where we go through the basically A to Z of how to source, how property works, how investment works, where to buy, how to buy, different strategies, different yields, different information, just giving you the full A to Z of everything you need to know in property, whether you're looking to buy yourself, whether you're looking to learn how to do things so you can help other people buy, or whether you're looking to essentially just develop and grow your knowledge base. Would it be useful if we created a platform like that, or at least uploaded a ton of videos and content for you guys to be able to review and look at, to learn and know essentially how the industry works? I'd love to get a response from you guys here, because obviously if you wouldn't, then there's no point me doing it. So if it would be useful, do let me know in the chat. Just give me a yes or an I, and I will gladly make sure that we get that done. Okay, yes would be very useful. Okay, perfect. Yep. Okay, awesome. Right. Okay. So it seems like a bit of a resounding yes, which is good. So I'm happy with that. So we will work on that. I'm not going to promise it'll get done quickly, because honestly, recording content and building content takes a very long time. It is very, very tiresome, but it's very enjoyable. So I will make a point of getting a whole bunch of stuff out. We've actually created a whole bunch of structure already on this. So I think we worked it out as about 300 videos. All the videos are short, so they're all anywhere between 2 and 10 minutes long. Trying to keep everything very bite-sized and trying to keep it much easier to consume, rather than feeling like you have to sit there and watch long-form videos. And you can essentially move from one to the other to the other to the other as you have time available, rather than feeling like you have to watch an hour's worth of video and go, oh, well, where did I stop? Let me pick that up. I've got something I need to do. So that's kind of the premise of that. So, okay, awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much for the feedback on that. Mastermind. So for me, I'd be happy to run a mastermind. So look, we've done an awful lot of one-to-one coaching, a lot of one-to-one mentoring. We used to run a training company. I know many of you guys know this, called Katana Training, back pre-COVID. We ran that for about 8 years. Operated very well. Trained literally tens of thousands from the front of the room, spoke on stages in 28 countries, 4 continents, had a whale of a time, thoroughly enjoyed what we did, and did a lot of personal one-to-one mentoring. I think we mentored about 250 people, give or take, overall. And that was sort of myself and my old business partner, Taro. And that was fun, thoroughly enjoyable. But what I started to find is one-to-one mentoring became, it felt like a very heavy use of time. When I ended up having a lot of conversations that were the same conversations with multiple people. So I'm much more of the mindset of bring people together in one space, whether it be on a Zoom or Google Meets or whatever, or bring them into a live meeting room where we can sit down and have a conversation. And then you can have a wider conversation with many people. One, they can then learn from sort of my insights, my learnings, my experience, and what we're currently doing. But two, also, whenever somebody asks a useful question, rather than multiple people asking that question over the course of several hours, I can then answer all of those people's sort of question in that room, in that environment, so that I don't have to have multiple people asking the same question. So this creates a much better learning environment. And much more importantly, everybody within that group can then learn from each other's learnings and mistakes and experiences. And this for me is this. So this is what's a mastermind. So out of interest, has anyone on here been on a mastermind or been part of a mastermind before? Out of interest. If you have, okay. So there has been some, which is awesome. So if you have, hopefully you had a great mastermind and you understand the value of it. Not all masterminds are created the same, and not all values created the same, as I'm sure you know. But we are considering putting together a bit of a mastermind, just bringing together 10, 15 people into a room a couple of times a month, and just sitting down and going through everything, just for a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, whatever it needs to be, to ensure that everyone is best suited and best kept to be able to develop and grow and build their businesses in the best way possible. If that is of interest, if you can do me a favor, just drop me a message directly. If you don't have my details, my email is richard@mypropertygroup.net. So just drop me an email if you're interested in that. I'd be more than happy to have that as a wider conversation, and possibly put together a mastermind. Look, it's not on the forefront of my sort of agenda, but it's definitely, look, for me, my job is to get the best out of the white labels, because then we all make the most money. So if you consider how the white label works, we operate on a 50-50 on fees. So the better I can help you do as a white label partner, the more financial benefit and personal benefit you get and I get. So it's much more important for us that, we help you do as well as possible and make as much money as possible. It's literally as simple as that. So if you're interested, drop me an email, and I'm more than happy to try and pick up and see how we can have a conversation and try and build something that will work for you, even if it's sort of a once-a-month meet or something. We'll figure something out. I've just had a question in terms of the next one-day event, Crash Course. So we are going to run another one. I don't know when. When do you reckon we'll run another one day? So it'll probably be beginning probably Q1 of next year. I thoroughly enjoy running the events. They're very time consuming, cash intensive, but very enjoyable. But they are very, 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 very tiring. So anybody who's done any presenting in the past will know, whenever you stand at the front of a room and you present for an entire day, by the end of the day, you are very, very tired. And more importantly, for the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, you're not really able to function at full speed. So it is a very fatiguing thing. But yes, 100%, we will do another, and we will do more, because I genuinely enjoy presenting. I enjoy what we do. I enjoy imparting a lot of the learnings, so as an example, we've launched our own property fund. We launched this in January. We've got an investor who's put 10 million in. We've built a portfolio at the minute of 12 million, including finance. So this is a 5-year play. We've already bought, I think it's about 45, 50 properties. We've got, I don't know, 500 beds or whatever it is, and it's really good. So the entire portfolio is growing very quickly, and it's built on the basis of converting the properties to housing association, putting a housing association lease on it, and then refinancing out later down the line, keeping it, never selling it, and just building a portfolio for that basis. And it's operated very, very effectively. So it's very enjoyable. And for me, the biggest thing is, we are sitting with net yields in this portfolio of around 12 to 13%. As a portfolio, and net returns, excluding appreciation, of over 20%, which is fantastic. It's unbelievable. It's numbers that you shouldn't be getting nowadays, but because of who we are, what we've done, and the structure and the learnings that we've taken from previous experience, it's made this significantly easier. So when people want to know how to do this kind of stuff, or they want to know how to best effectively buy a property, I've personally bought probably about 100 and some properties now, bought and sold. So, we've done a lot, sourced, it's got to be over 500, coming up to 1,000 properties over the years. So, we've done an awful lot. And I feel like there's a lot of knowledge that I can impart on people to try and help other people know, how best to do things. So, I'm very, very keen to do a lot of mastermind, a lot of sort of teachings, a lot of training events, but I'm also mindful of time, because I, like Tom, my business partner, we have a business to build and a business to run. So I want to make sure that the time is most effectively utilized in a way that is going to add the most and the maximum benefit to those that we're working with, as opposed to it just being oh, well, that was interesting. Because for me, if I have an event and somebody leaves there going, oh, well, that was interesting, I'm going, well, that obviously wasn't the right person to be in the room. So I want to try and make sure that we get this working in the most effective way to basically get the most value for people. And that's kind of the game. So anybody who's been to, no worries, Matt, no worries at all. So anybody who's been to any of our previous events, you'll know our events are always very, very content driven. There's no fluff, there's no bullshit. It is done to make sure that you get the most value out of that. Now, whether you actually take that information and utilize it as you're growing and developing and building what you do is obviously down to you. But I will try and ensure you have all the tools in your arsenal to be able to do it. Okay, that's all I can do. That's all you could ever ask of somebody, is to give you all the tools. Whether you take action and get that done or not is obviously, it's down to you. But I will always do my best. Okay, then salespeople. So some white label partners suck at sales or hate sales. Some people are allergic to the word sales, which is always interesting. For me, sales is, if done right, it is helping people. And it's if done right. This is an important thing to understand. Many people, when they consider sales or think of sales, they think sales is getting one over on someone, convincing someone to do something they didn't want to do, taking money from people for no benefit. Like, for me, that's not sales. That's cheating. That's stealing. It's not the same thing. Okay. And, and I think that comes from, you used to get some of the people that would, some door-to-door salespeople that would hustle you into buying something for vastly over its price and stuff. And for me, that's not sales. That's con men, that's thieves. That's, it's people who are stealing money from you. For me, sales is the ability to help somebody and them paying you in return for that help, right? So it needs to be a fair exchange of value. So as an example, if I supply an investment property, I do all the due diligence, I'll do all the negotiating, I do all the viewings, I do all the data gathering to make sure that it's a good investment and a good property. And I say to somebody, look, my fee is £4,000 for doing this. Okay, I've done an awful lot of work to justify that money. Now, if I said my fee is 20,000 for doing that, okay, and I've done that on a small little 50 grand buy to let, it would never make sense. Okay, whereas if I've done it on a portfolio or I've done it on a larger investment, then you sit go, well, actually, it's a fair fee for a fair day's work. Okay, that's ultimately what it is. And that's kind of where sales should be, is you're doing something that is fair and equitable. It needs to be a win-win. Everybody needs to leave that relationship going, it feels like I have won out of this. Okay, and sometimes the win might not be immediately. Sometimes the win comes further down the line because it's the nature of what you do. But it needs to, at all points, in the end, feel like it's a fair exchange of value. It's a win-win. And if you're not doing a win-win, as far as I'm concerned, that's not sales. Okay, if you're doing it where only one person makes a win, or somebody is losing in that equation, again, that's not sales. That's coercion. That's theft. That's stealing. So I always consider it as helping people. If I help somebody make a good investment choice, if I help somebody build their portfolio, if I help somebody create long-term wealth, multi-generational wealth, create financial security, create financial freedom, leave a legacy for their future generations, if I help people do that, I'm helping. Okay, it's not the same. So for me, one of the biggest things that I love to do is I love to help people understand how to sell. And if you're one of those people that you just don't feel comfortable with this, if you're one of those people that just don't feel comfortable with this, it just doesn't make sense to you, and you just go, look, I feel icky, or it doesn't, I don't feel comfortable, it doesn't work, or I'm really struggling with this, or whatever it is, and you're a white label partner, we can have Jamie do the sale for you. Okay, and all you're doing is essentially becoming a marketing partner, a lead generator. And once those people come in and they're in your inbox and you're having a conversation with them, you can say, listen, I've got this great guy. He can help you out picking a really good investment. Let me introduce you to Jamie. Jamie will jump on a call with them. And Jamie goes, oh, hey, it's great to speak to you, and builds that relationship, builds that rapport, and then helps them find a good investment. Now, how we structure the fees is a little bit different, because obviously we've got to pay Jamie for that. So rather than it being a 50-50 on fees, we just do it as an 80-20, which for me is very fair, because essentially what you've done is you become a marketing partner as opposed to a sales partner. So the delivery level is very different. But, for me, it's a great way to do it. And many of our white label partners are doing very, very well doing this. And Jamie, the guy, he can help a lot of people, and he's very effective at it. So, if that's a route that you'd rather take, because you go, look, I like the idea of being a white label partner, but I don't like the idea of selling. I don't do sales. I don't want to sell to my friends. And look, it's a very, very common thing. Jamie can help out with that. You'll still make money. You'll still have a good time. You'll still help your friends. So everybody wins. Okay, that for me is a good win-win. So this is what we call a salesperson. And finally, what we call a compliance pack. And I think this is something that's worth noting. So many white label partners will not realize that as a sourcing agent, there is some legal obligation that you need to do in terms of your legal requirements. So what I mean by that is, so you need professional indemnity insurance, you need to be part of the property redress scheme, you need to be registered with the Information Commission's office, a couple of other bits and pieces. So what we can do is we can essentially just take care of that for you. So this is a compliance pack thing. So these are all sort of the additional things that we're going, actually, you know what, these are things that will really help white label partners to develop, to grow, to build their brands, build their relationships, to, drive traffic to their site. We've got the ability to run marketing through marketing partners. So once it's up and running and it's working, we can connect you with a marketing partner. They'll say, look, you can pick how much you want to spend per day. We'll do Google AdWords plus Facebook ads plus YouTube ads or whatever else to be able to generate you leads that you can then help build their portfolio. So look, there's many different avenues in which we can help. And that for me, making it an entire package is really where the value add is. So if there's any of those that you go, actually, you know what, that sounds of interest, that sounds like something I'd love to be a little bit more involved in, please let me know, and I'm more than happy to assist. Obviously, we've put together this list in the last week, and I said, look, we'll confirm how much that's going to be, and I will do it as cheaply as we possibly can to make sure that you guys get the most value, because as I said before, the more successful you are, the more successful we are. So that's the only way this can work. It has to be an even partnership, and that's why this works so effectively. So that's white label. Now, in terms of sales, now this is a conversation that comes up a lot, and there's a lot of toing and froing in terms of, does sales make sense? How do you sell? What's the structure of sales? And it's a conversation that comes up more often than you could possibly believe. It's one of the biggest conversations I was having while coaching sourcing agents, while I was coaching, people who were white label partners, and anybody who was trying to help other people build their portfolios. We're all having the same fears, concerns, anxieties. And one of the biggest ones is, look, how do you sell? I don't understand. How does it work? So what we did is we actually broke the sales process down into a simple step-by-step process. For those of you that haven't seen it on YouTube, go take a look at our YouTube channel. Please do like and subscribe on the videos, because we are trying to grow the channel to get to as many people as we can, to try and help as many people build their portfolios and look after their financial futures as possible. But on there, we actually talk about the sales process. Now, the sales process is fundamentally broken down into a few different things. So the first and foremost is what we call the fact find. So this is trying to get an understanding in terms of the person you're talking to, what is their current position and what do they want/need? Okay, now what someone says they want and what they need are very different generally. Okay, so if I give you an example, you might be sitting down with somebody and say, hey, so what are you looking to do? And they go, oh, I want to build my portfolio. You go, okay, great. And what is it you're looking for? And they go, oh, I've heard that Manchester's a great area, so I just want a little 3-bed apartment in Manchester. And that's their basis for what they want, because they're not trained or educated in knowing what a good investment is. They're purely listening to what a friend said, or overheard from a conversation, or heard something from the media, or, heaven forbid, a bit of Homes Under the Hammer. And, we're all a little bit guilty of that one. Many people got into property because of it. So for me, when somebody tells you what they want, it often is very far from what they need. And the only way you can really discover what they need is you need to have a very open, earnest, and frank conversation with them and just say, look, where are you at? Have you bought property before? What are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to create financial security? Are you looking to create a future wealth plan? Are you looking to create a good cash flow? That's going to mean that you guys can retire earlier. Are you looking to create a legacy for future generations? What is it ultimately you're busy looking for? Okay, and once you understand what it is they're looking for, then what you can do is you can work your way backwards from there. The other thing is you need to understand what their concerns are, what their fears are, what their anxieties are, what their like pullbacks are. So what they say, look, I can't do that because of X or Y. So as an example, some people go, oh, I could never invest in an area where it is housing benefits tenants because I've heard something on the media 10 years ago about how terrible they are, right? So, you have to get an understanding in terms of what it is they need and what it is that they are allergic to, that they refuse to do. So as an example, obviously we're based in London. I'm based in Kent personally, but I work in London 5 days a week. It's our office here. We're literally moving office to Victoria, so we just got a whole floor of a building, which is awesome. And often the people that I speak to down here are like, oh, well, I want to invest in London. I'm like, okay, well, how much capital have you got to invest? And they go, oh, I've got 50,000. It's like, what do you want, a garage? Like, it's London. You're not going to get anything. And then you go, okay, and why are you investing? Oh, I want an income. And it's like, well, you've got 50 grand. You want to invest in London and you want an income. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, my friend. I would love to help you. I am not a magician. However, I can help you if you're willing to look a little bit further afield. Are you willing to look a little bit further afield in London? And don't worry, we can manage it. We can take care of it, because now you're moving into the realms of, well, I don't know it. Is it a good area? I want to be close to the property, which is always a winner for me. I always find it such a funny conversation. Yeah, I want to be close to the property. Why? Well, because, if something happens, I need to be able to, take a look. I'm like, okay, so if the property is 5 miles down the road and if there's a problem, what are you going to do? Oh, well, the agent will deal with it. I'm like, okay. Are you going to unclog the toilets? Are you going to go let the tenants in? No. So does it matter whether it's 5 miles down the road or 500 miles down the road? Literally makes zero difference to you. I don't understand why. Oh, well, it just makes me feel more comfortable. I'm like, okay, so you're going to lose a lot of money for your comfort. Because that's ultimately what that then is they're having that internal, contemplation of, oh, well, I want to feel comfortable because it's down the road. I want to be able to drive past it. You know how many of my houses I've seen? So we've bought, like I say, about 45 properties in the last sort of 7 months. I can actually show you as well if you really want to see, which is always interesting. So yeah, so window. So these are the properties we've bought with prices, expected values, so who the housing associations are, and so yes, we bought 44. We've already exchanged on these two, so that 43 exchange on these two takes up to 45, and these are all the ones we've got agreed, and we're going through. And these were agreed today, yesterday. As a portfolio we're buying, so you get the picture, right? There's an awful lot of property here that we're busy buying. For me, I haven't seen a single one of these. Not a single one, because what am I buying? Am I buying something that, I really want to go and see and I want to fall in love with and blah, blah, blah? Or am I buying something that's going to give me an income for life? Okay, I'm buying an ATM, I'm buying a cash machine, a piggy bank, whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm buying. Okay, so long as the house does what it needs to do, it gives the tenant what they need to get, and it's a fair exchange of value. They're busy paying me for the ability to live in my house. Okay, and so long as they're happy to pay and I'm happy to provide the house and everyone's happy, everybody wins. This is a win-win relationship. If they're no longer happy to pay for a reason that is my doing, I need to rectify that. Or if they are no longer happy, or they're not willing to pay, but I've delivered on my end, then I need to do something about that. Okay, and this is the nature of all relationships. There's always a give and take. So, you're speaking to a lot of people and they have all these requirements. And so long as you just work your way back and break down those requirements to what is it they ultimately need, not want, need. Generally, it's going to be cash flow. Generally, it's going to be financial security. Okay, those are your biggest ones. Every now and then people want wealth. They're like, look, I've got an income, I've got my pension, I'm okay. I just want to make sure like we're looked after in retirement. So if anything happens, we've got our money's, safely squirreled away into an investment. Or you've got some who go, look, I want to build a portfolio for my kids. I want to make sure my kids are looked after in life. I want to create some multi-generational wealth. Those are your primary reasons why people invest. Once you understand that and you can nail that down, what you offer them and how you structure what you offer them becomes very different. So as an example, if they're looking to create financial security, you're looking for high yield properties that will give them the most amount of income for the least amount of investment. Okay, and that's ultimately what high yield tends to mean. Is you make the maximum amount of money for the least amount of investment. Okay, the more high yield properties you can deliver to them, the more money they're going to make ultimately. Okay, the more low yield, the more money they're going to lose, because this is the nature of things. So if you focus on that, you say, listen, I've got this one. This is how much it's going to make you. And now if I then tie this back to the conversation I had with you earlier in terms of how we looked at the investment. Okay, so I'll just share my screen and I'll go through it with you. So window, this one. Okay, so hopefully that'll pop through. Sorry, just waiting for it. Sorry, my computer is not having a good time. I think it's busy doing something in the background. Right, let me just close some stuff off. Okay, so as an example here, so this is an 11. Oh, geez, it's an 11% gross yield. So the amount of investment you're putting in is comparatively low to the amount of money you're getting out. Whereas if someone goes, well, I want to invest in London, and you go, okay, let's see what we've got in London. So let me give you an example. So here's an apartment in London. Okay, so an apartment, nice and easy. How much money are they having to put in and how much money are they getting out? The cash flow net here is the same net cash flow as the property that you could put in 20 grand. Isn't that bananas? But some people, oh, I want London. Why? Okay, so then once you understand what it is they need, you can then start to direct them to what it is they need and explain why that makes sense for them. And you need to do this by way of a conversation, understand what their challenges are, understand what their desires are, and start to create a bit of a vision, a bit of a picture in terms of how things could look if they do work with you. That's the ultimate of sales. Look, for me, the only way you can really help people is to genuinely care about their outcome. The only way you can truly sell to somebody, truly, without being a con artist, the only way you can truly sell to somebody is be genuinely interested and invested in their best interest, their outcome, their future. Because if you do that, if you genuinely want to help, and look, you may not always be equipped to help, and things will go wrong because it's the nature of life, right? Nothing is perfect. I'll be very clear, nothing is perfect. But so long as the people you are dealing with know that you are doing everything you can to ensure that you utilize every tool in your arsenal to help them and make sure they get the best they can, you'll always do fine. Sales is very much a game of doing everything you can to help the other person. Not looking at how much am I going to make? What's this doing for me? None of the conversations I have with people are, well, if you do this, I get this. Well, I would love you to do this because, I'm not in the equation. For me, it's got nothing to do with me. Okay. For me, all I'm trying to do is help them make as much money as possible and lead the best life they possibly can. And by genuinely being invested in doing that for them and delivering that for them, I can guarantee you they're much more interested and likely to work with me. That's the game. If you're struggling to sell, you're probably thinking too much about what you want out of the deal and not enough about what they want out of the deal. That's it. So in terms of sales, I think, I don't want to sort of harp on too much. So hopefully that's been really useful for you guys. Out of interest, has that been useful? I'd love to get some yeses in the chat if that has been useful. I know we lost one or two of you because I've had some messages going, I've had to go, I'm really sorry. That's why I've had people requesting recording. Okay, awesome. And look, if ever you want to grab a coffee, our office is currently at London Bridge. As of 1st of November, our office is at Victoria. You're always welcome to come and meet. You're always welcome to come sit down for coffee. You're always welcome to come and chat with us. I will never turn a person away. Okay. Likewise, obviously, we run these webinars every 2 weeks. Okay. And on the opposing Mondays, we also run a face-to-face meetup, which is literally over at the London Bridge Hotel, which is across the street from where our office is. We're in the news building, just literally at the bottom of the Shard. So, if I would suggest, if you want to come meet, just come along to the drinks. So I'll buy you a drink, we'll sit down, we'll chat, we'll talk property, we'll talk business, we'll talk white label, whatever you want to talk about. I'm very much an open book. Some of you guys on here have been you've come and met me, you've come and sat with me. It's an easy flowing conversation, and I will feed you as much knowledge as I possibly can based on what you want, what you need. And that's it. Your success is my success ultimately. So look, that sort of brings us to a close. I'm mindful I've been, chatting away for about 50 minutes now, which is quite a bit of time. Hopefully this has been really useful for you guys. Hopefully you get a lot of value. In the next call, if you've got any recommendations on anything you want me to cover, anything you want me to talk about, whether it be marketing, whether it be site structure, whether it be, whatever detail, branding, whatever it is that you would love to know more about, please do drop me a message and I'll make sure that we cover that in the next sort of webinar. And like I say, I'll be running these every couple of weeks. We've also launched a podcast, which by the way was really, really fun. So myself and Tom, we talked about the foundations, the beginning of the business, some of our past, our history, what we've been doing, why we've structured things the way we have. You're talking into corporate structure, governance, some really interesting things. And we launched our first podcast on YouTube, literally like 3 or 4 days ago. I'm really excited, actually. It was a really enjoyable sort of podcast. We've got, I don't know, 1,000 odd people that have seen it. It's been really good. So look, this is the YouTube link. Oh, there. So right click on it, copy the link, and you'll have it, and vice versa. We also uploaded it onto Apple. So Apple Podcasts, which is really cool. So that's the Apple Podcast. If you prefer to listen while you're traveling rather than watch a video, you just click on it and you have a little bit of a listen. For me, it was really enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's also on Spotify, and if you're a Spotify podcaster, it's our first one. So be gentle. It's podcasts are actually really interesting. It's really fun because you can sit and you can just talk very openly and freely. There's no unlike this is very much me having to present information and knowledge, and I have to generate the energy and generate the momentum and stuff throughout the entire bit. Whereas a podcast, you just sit and chat and it just flows really freely. and the stuff that comes out. I actually sat and listened to my own podcast, which, by the way, I appreciate sounds super weird. But I sat there and I just put it on in the background because I was just trying to double check the sound works, made sure everything worked before I lined it up and sent it over to the editors, and made sure everything got done. And I sat there, and 40 minutes later, I finished listening to my own podcast and went, "Oh wow, that was really enjoyable, actually." Because it didn't sound like it was me. It just sounded like two guys talking about experiences about business and life and, property and, how they form things and stuff. It's really enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And obviously I highly recommend you listen. We'll be releasing one every either 2 or 4 weeks. We're not 100% sure yet. We've actually just recorded the second one. So that's actually probably ready to go out soon. But, I also don't want to slam them in too much and then go, oh, well, here's one after a week and then the next one's in a month and then have this weird thing. So we're trying to create a nice process where you get it at the same sort of time every time, which would be really good. So yeah, please do have a listen. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your thoughts. If you've got any questions, obviously, please do message. You've got Joe, if you're existing white label, do reach out to him. Joe's amazing. Joe and Jamie, they will help you and support you with whatever you need. If you've got any questions, you want to know, how you develop, how you grow, they can help. If you want to get involved in any of the bits we talked about earlier, the marketing and the branding packs and the websites, drop me a message. I'm more than happy to pick that up as a conversation and see how we can help. And then finally, if you're not a white label partner and you love the idea of helping your friends invest and build their portfolios, and of course getting paid for doing so, because unfortunately in this world you can't live on nothing. So it's nice to be able to earn a bit of extra money in turn for doing something nice for other people. I'd have a look. You can go to whitelabelproperty.com. So I'll just drop it into the chat. And then, so you can go there, you can get yourself signed up as a white label partner. It's super simple. There's no setup fees. Normal setup fees are £1,000. We've waived that. We take the hit on setup, pay somebody to do all the heavy lifting, the website work and get everything connected, the Google domains and all that stuff. It's a bit of a mismatch. So we actually take the hit on that. It's £50 a month, no minimum term, cancel any times, no pressure. We can get your site set up normally within a week. And then all you're doing once your site's set up, then you're just lining it up with your friends, just saying, hey, look, if you're interested in investing, here's some stuff, take a look. And then if they're interested, then obviously either you can have a chat with them, help them buy, or Jamie can have a chat and, make it nice and easy. So, if there's anything we can do to help, it's a really great way to get involved, and also build a bit of a pot of money that you can then use to invest and build your own portfolio if you don't have a big pot sort of backing you up. So, but no, look, it's £50 per month, Tim. So it's super cheap. Like you would spend more than that on coffee. I can pretty much guarantee you if you're a coffee drinker. So, I highly recommend, if you're not a white label, just get yourself signed up. It's really easy, and if you don't like it after a month, go, hey, can we cancel? It's cancel immediately, no questions asked. There's literally no pressure. But yeah, look, we're more than happy to help, more than happy to work together. And, honestly, I love good relationships with good people. So, if you're a good person, feel free to join. If you're not, don't. So, but the fact that you're on, you probably are. So, but look, I have to say thank you very much, all of you guys, for turning up. Those of you catching this as a recording, same thing goes. If you want anything, if you need anything, do drop us a message. More than happy to pick this up. But thank you very much for your time, guys. It really has been a pleasure. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing many of you guys next Monday at the basically networking and drinks. So, we're essentially a white label meet and greet. So questions and drinks, so a Q&A evening. And then the following Monday, we'll have another webinar. So I'll see many of you guys there. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, guys. Enjoy, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.